Hey everyone, welcome back to Alf's Mustang Garage. Today we're back working on the 289 engine rebuild, and today we're going to show you how to replace valve springs with the heads on the engine. Okay, so a couple things you want to be aware of whenever you're trying to change valve springs out on an engine that has the cylinder heads installed is you don't want the valve to just drop down into the cylinder. So the safest thing to do is to have your piston up to top dead center. So the good news is there's always a companion cylinder. So if you get number 1 up to top dead center, you also have number 6 on top dead center as well. And there's a really cool trick that you can use to figure out your companion cylinders. And what that is, what a companion cylinder is cylinders that just kind of travel together up and down, but they'll just be on the opposite spectrum as far as their firing sequence goes. So the way to figure this out is you write down the firing order, okay? Which is 1, 5, 4, 2, 6, 3, 7, 8, right? Well, if you take the first 4, 1, 5, 4, 2, and put the second 4 underneath, now 1 and 6 are companion cylinders, 5 and 3 are companions, and so you know that these ones are traveling together. So this is kind of like a cool little trick. So we're going to do cylinder 1 here for you just to kind of demonstrate, and we're going to use a very basic tool because I'm trying to relate to maybe just the average Joe, the average guy that can kind of rent this tool from AutoZone and get this done. So this is just made by OEM. It's the 57040 tool, and we're gonna make this work. These little hooks here, you want to go down into the spring. You want to find a nice place to just kind of grab a hold of it, and then this part of the tool is going to go right on the top part of that retainer. Kind of want to just get it centered just right. So another thing I like to do is just for added insurance, I like to use these little claw tools. It's not going to hurt or damage the valve, but I just kind of reach in through the the exhaust port or the intake port, whatever valve you're working on, and just kind of grab a hold of it, and just like one more little insurance policy, just in case it falls. It's going to be, I just want it to stay in place. That's what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so now we can safely compress this spring. Just kind of show you how that's kind of sitting on there. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to use my little brass punch. I'm going to get right on top of this retainer right here, and I'm just going to gently pop it down like that. That one came out really easily. And then I have a little magnet, and I can fish out the keepers just like that. And now I should be able to lift the valve spring right out. Okay, so this would be a really good time to change your valve seal. These heads already had valve seals done before we slapped them on the engine, and the valves were all redone and everything as well. We just didn't plan ahead and kind of forgot about the springs, so that's why we're doing this demonstration. So now we're gonna just release your tool, and now you have your top part and your retainer So that will transfer over to the new valve spring here. This is a comp cam valve spring. I will post a link in the description as far as what this is. But again, like, this is tailored to the type of camshaft that I have. So you shouldn't just buy this spring just because I'm using this spring. You should just, you know, call Comp Cams and buy a camshaft and spring combination. So okay, so now we gotta get the tool onto the new spring. Sometimes that can be a little complicated with this new type of spring because we have like the double coil. So you just kind of want to really be careful, make sure you got a good hook on there. And just pull her down like that. Now you can slip her on. Like that. And now we have our little keepers that are going to go in place. So you'll kind of look at these and you'll kind of see how they're tapered. The smaller end goes down. So we'll put that down in there like that. So it can be a little tricky to get those in. But once you kind of get them in, you can kind of pull up on the spring. Now kind of keep them in place as you release the tension on the tool. And there is a valve spring replacement for you. So there's number one cylinder done for, already previously did the intake valve, that was the exhaust valve. Now with number one's up to top dead center, I also have number 6 up to top dead center because that's the companion cylinder. So then you could just kind of move on to cylinder 6, rotate your engine around to the next cylinder up, you know, 90-degree turn would bring the next cylinder up. So it would be 1 and then 5, and the companion cylinder for 5 is number 3. So you do 5 and 3 together, and that's kind of how you would flow through that. So we'll just kind of time lapse the remaining 7 cylinders here, and we'll get this job done. Okay, so there's all the valve springs replaced. It's really not that bad of a job, and that's like a really inexpensive tool that can be rented from AutoZone. And as you can see, we did that really quick. I know it was on time lapse, but it really only took me and another guy 30 minutes to do that. But that's with the heads on. I mean, most people do this with the heads off, but that's just a kind of a cool demonstration with heads on. Just gotta make sure those valves don't fall down. The seals on these were brand new, so they were pretty much holding the valves up. But if you're like doing the seals, you just kind of want to make sure, like again, pistons up the top dead center, and then you can kind of like use a strong magnet as well to kind of hold that in place. But you know, as long as you're just kind of paying attention and you know, taking your time, you should be just fine. So anyway, so that concludes valve spring installation, and we'll kind of move on to the rest of this engine, getting very close to having this all finished up. As always, appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching. Give the video a thumbs up if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time.